You walk into the kitchen and completely forget what you came in for. You're mid-conversation and a word you've used 1,000 times just isn't there anymore. You read a page of a book and realize you have no idea what you just read. If that sounds familiar, take a breath, because what I'm about to share with you might be one of the most reassuring things you hear all week. Your brain is not simply wearing out. It's a living, adaptive organ, and there's a growing body of research showing that specific foods can actively support the repair and maintenance of brain cells, even well into your 60s, 70s, and beyond. Today we're going deep. Not a quick list you'll forget by tomorrow, but a real understanding of why these foods work, so you can actually use this information for the rest of your life. Let's get into it. Before we get to the foods, it helps to understand what's actually going on inside your head as you age. Because once you understand the problem, the solutions make a lot more sense. Three things happen gradually as we get older. First, oxidative stress builds up. Every day, your cells produce energy, and as a byproduct, they release unstable molecules called free radicals. In a young body, antioxidants mop these up efficiently. As we age, that balance shifts, and free radicals can damage the delicate structures inside brain cells. Second, low-grade inflammation increases. This isn't the kind of inflammation you feel, like a swollen ankle. It's quiet, chronic, and slow-moving, but over years, it interferes with how brain cells communicate with each other. Third, and this is the part most people don't know, your brain has its own cellular cleanup system, called autophagy. It's how brain cells clear out old, damaged proteins so they can keep functioning properly. This cleanup process naturally slows down with age, and when debris builds up faster than it's cleared, that's been linked to slower thinking and memory issues. We're going to go through 7 foods, each targeting one or more of those 3 mechanisms. I'll explain the why behind each one so it actually sticks. Let's start with the one you've probably heard the most about, but let me tell you why it actually matters. Blueberries are rich in anthocyanins, the pigment compounds that give them their deep blue-purple color. These compounds are potent antioxidants, and research suggests they can cross the blood-brain barrier, meaning they don't just circulate in your bloodstream, they can actually reach brain tissue directly. Several studies on older adults have found that regular blueberry consumption is associated with improved memory performance and slower rates of measured cognitive decline. One well-known study followed older adults over several years and found that those with higher berry intake showed a meaningfully slower rate of cognitive aging compared to those who ate very few. Fresh or frozen both work. Frozen blueberries retain most of their antioxidant content, so don't feel like you need to pay a premium for fresh out-of-season berries. A half cup to 1 cup a day, added to oatmeal, yogurt, or a smoothie, is a realistic and sustainable target. Next, fatty fish. Salmon, sardines, mackerel, herring, anchovies. Here's the biology. Roughly 60% of your brain's dry weight is fat, and a significant portion of that is DHA, an omega-3 fatty acid that's a core building block of the membranes surrounding your brain cells. These membranes need to stay flexible for neurons to send and receive signals efficiently. The problem is, your body can't manufacture meaningful amounts of DHA on its own. It has to come from your diet. As people age, if omega-3 intake is low, those membranes can become stiffer, and that's been linked to slower processing speed and the kind of mental fog many people describe. Research has also connected regular fatty fish consumption with reduced neuroinflammation and better blood flow to the hippocampus, the brain region most responsible for forming new memories. 2 to 3 servings a week is a commonly recommended target. If you don't eat fish, algae-based omega-3 supplements are a legitimate, well-studied alternative. Fish actually get their DHA from eating algae in the first place, so it's not a downgrade. As always, check with your doctor before starting any new supplement, especially if you're on blood thinners. Spinach, kale, Swiss chard, arugula, collard greens, dark leafy vegetables. These are rich in folate, vitamin K, and lutein, 3 nutrients with very specific roles in brain health. Folate helps regulate homocysteine, an amino acid that at elevated levels has been associated with faster cognitive decline. Vitamin K supports the health of the fatty sheath that insulates nerve fibers, helping signals travel cleanly between brain cells. And lutein, interestingly, the same antioxidant found in the eye, also accumulates in brain regions tied to memory and learning, where research suggests it may offer localized antioxidant protection. One widely cited study found that older adults with higher blood lutein levels performed on cognitive tests more like people years younger. You don't need a salad every day, toss spinach into eggs, blend a handful into a smoothie, or saute greens with garlic and olive oil. A serving most days of the week is realistic. Walnuts specifically, not nuts in general, have a nutritional profile worth calling out on its own. They contain ALA, a plant-based omega-3, along with one of the highest antioxidant contents of any nut. But the most interesting research on walnuts relates to neuroinflammation, that slow, quiet inflammation we talked about earlier. Compounds in walnuts appear to help modulate this inflammatory response, which may help preserve the brain's resources for actual thinking and memory rather than constantly managing background inflammation. There's also emerging interest in the gut-brain connection. Walnuts act as a prebiotic, feeding beneficial gut bacteria, and a healthier gut microbiome has been linked in ongoing research to better mood regulation and cognitive function through the gut-brain axis. A small handful, about an ounce or 14 walnut halves, is enough to get meaningful benefit. Add them to oatmeal, salads, or eat them as a snack. This is where that cellular cleanup system, autophagy, comes back into play. Extra virgin olive oil contains a compound called oleocanthal, which has been studied for its potential role in supporting the brain's autophagy process, essentially helping brain cells clear out old, damaged proteins more efficiently. It also has anti-inflammatory properties that work through pathways similar to certain anti-inflammatory medications, though gently and as part of a whole food. Long-term population studies on Mediterranean diets, where olive oil is a daily staple, have consistently found lower rates of age-related cognitive decline in these populations compared to populations that don't eat this way. It's worth being clear, this reflects an association with an overall dietary pattern, not proof that olive oil alone is responsible. The detail that matters, it has to be labeled extra virgin. Regular or light olive oil goes through processing that strips out most of the beneficial compounds. Look for extra virgin on the label, ideally in a dark glass bottle to protect it from light degradation. A couple of tablespoons a day on vegetables as a finishing drizzle or for gentle cooking is a reasonable target. Turmeric, specifically its active compound curcumin, has become one of the more studied spices in relation to brain health. Curcumin has demonstrated antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties in a range of studies, and some research has looked at its potential role in supporting BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, a protein that supports the growth and survival of neurons. Lower BDNF levels have been associated with memory problems and mood changes in some studies. One important caveat: curcumin on its own is poorly absorbed by the body. It's typically paired with black pepper, which contains piperine suc, a compound shown to significantly increase curcumin's absorption. So if you're adding turmeric to your cooking, a pinch of black pepper alongside it isn't just for flavor, it actually matters for absorption. A 1/2 to 1 teaspoon of turmeric, combined with a bit of black pepper in soups, curries, scrambled eggs, or even golden milk, is a reasonable way to work it into your routine. Last one, and it tends to surprise people: dark chocolate, specifically with a high cocoa content of 70% or more. Cocoa flavanols are a class of antioxidant compounds that have been studied for their effects on blood flow, including cerebral blood flow. Some research has associated regular flavanol intake with improved performance on certain memory and attention tasks in older adults, likely connected to improved circulation to brain tissue. The important caveat here: this is about high cocoa dark chocolate in small amounts, not milk chocolate or chocolate candy loaded with sugar. The added sugar can work against the very benefits we're talking about. A small square, about 1 ounce a few times a week, is a reasonable way to enjoy this one without it working against you, especially if you're also managing blood sugar. Let's zoom out for a second, because 7 foods can feel like a lot to remember. Here's the simplified version. Blueberries and dark chocolate fight oxidative stress. Fatty fish rebuilds the membranes brain cells use to communicate. Leafy greens protect against harmful buildup and support the brain's wiring. Walnuts and turmeric calm chronic inflammation. And olive oil supports your brain's own internal cleanup system. You don't need to eat all 7 of these every single day starting tomorrow. That's not realistic, and honestly, chasing perfection is a good way to give up entirely. Instead, pick 1 or 2 that feel the most doable for you right now. Add blueberries to your breakfast this week. Switch to extra virgin olive oil for your cooking. Once that feels automatic, add another. Small, consistent changes compound over months in a way that a single perfect day never will. I want to leave you with this. None of what we talked about today is a cure, and I'm not going to pretend otherwise. Cognitive decline is complex, and diet is one piece of a much bigger picture that includes sleep, movement, social connection, and medical care. But here's what is true. The foods on this list are backed by real, published research. They're accessible, they're affordable, and they're things you can start today with your very next meal. That's not nothing. That's actually a meaningful, evidence-based way to support your brain for the years ahead. If this was useful to you, I'd really appreciate a like. It helps this information reach more people who could use it. And I'd love to know in the comments, which of these foods are you already eating, and which one are you going to add first? Thanks for spending this time with me. Take care of that brain of yours. It's carrying every memory that matters to you. I'll see you in the next one.